how to tell a great story. First of all, let me say that people who tell really good stories in the bar to their friends don't necessarily make good storytellers in presentations. Because telling a story in a bar is a different type of story. It's like you have time, you kind of go in circles, people interact with you and you make it more funny. A presentation story needs to be concise, short, and to the point. Okay? So, first let me talk about 3 key elements in storytelling. Okay? Every story needs these 3 key elements. The first element is, it needs a hero. It needs a protagonist. Yeah? This is the famous Luke Skywalker hero. Every story needs an antagonist. A bad guy. Good guy, bad guy. And then you have a problem. That's basically a story. Stories are about conflict. No conflict, no story, basically. When I was telling you the story, when I started telling you the story, I got up this morning, I had orange juice, I had coffee, I spoke to my wife. You know, if I continued like that, the story was going to be a disaster because there's no conflict. But I had coffee, I had orange juice, I washed my teeth, I said hello to my wife, and my wife didn't respond. I shook her. So then I have conflict and we've got, okay? So, let's look a little bit in detail about the hero. Okay? The hero of your story needs to have certain characteristics. Needs to have a personality. Needs to be a person. The hero, some people try to make, well, you could try to make MSF the hero, the organization. But unless you describe MSF like a person, someone brave, someone that works very hard, MSF is very innovative, then it won't work as a hero. Okay? So you need to, your hero might not be a person, it's better if it's a person, but it needs to have a personality. Yeah? Easy to identify with. So if your hero is super fuerte como Schwarzenegger, he never makes a mistake and he's handsome, beautiful man, very successful with women, never made a mistake in his life, you think, I can't, this person, I don't identify with this person. Okay? So it's a human character with good points and bad points. The next thing is, the hero must have a problem. If the hero has no problem, then it's not a hero. It's just another character in the story. So, the antagonist, the bad guy. The antagonist can be introduced first in the story. It doesn't have to be the hero. The antagonist must be a worthy opponent. A weak antagonist is not a good antagonist. I arrived at the office and it was a beautiful morning. I came to MSF offices, I went to my desk and oh my god, there's no coffee. So I went to the shop and I bought coffee. That situation is not a powerful situation to create conflict. It needs to be powerful. You need to describe the antagonist vividly. Most people spend a lot of time describing the hero, but actually you need to spend time describing the antagonist. The antagonist might not be a person, might be an event. In Carol's story, she was the hero. The antagonist was the problem in the village. The problem in the village. And the problem was she wasn't trained. Hero, problem, hero, antagonist, problem. So this creates our problems. The problems are 2 kinds. You have the major problem and the minor problems. The major problem is one problem and it's related to your core message. Carol's core message was, we need to introduce training for people in the field. We need to introduce online training for people in the field so that they can deal with these problems. The minor problems are just to create tension in the story. My boss was on holidays. I phoned headquarters, but the phone wasn't working. I had to wait. I had to go to another village to use another phone. Okay, these are not the major problems, but they create tension. Like, oh, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? This is what's really important, and a big difference between storytelling in the bar and storytelling in a presentation is, in a bar, you don't tell your friends. So the meaning of the story is, because everyone goes, ah, no man. But in a presentation, you have to be really clear. You have to tell them what the interpretation of the story is. Because you never know what people are going to take. So interpret the story and relate it to your message, your core message. So some tips for storytelling. First one is not 100% happy ending. If it's a really happy ending, you know, if Carol's story was, so I felt really prepared. So then what I did was I spent all night doing the online training, and then I went to the village and I made a perfect assessment. Okay? So don't make it 100% happy ending. Give concrete details. This is really important. When you tell a story, say where it happened and when it happened. Okay? My story about the factory manager, it happened in Barcelona. It happened 2 years ago. It happened Wednesday. On Thursday I had to go. Concrete details help us imagine the story. Specific time and context. Include strong emotions. Carol's emotion was very strong. She had to make a decision and she was really overwhelmed. The rule of 3 is the typical rule of jokes, and to repeat something 3 times. To try 3 solutions. Carol had to make a big decision in the village. The first thing she tried to do was call a friend in Barcelona up in the office to ask their advice, but the person didn't give good advice. Okay, that's the first. The next thing she tried to do was look on the internet for advice. No, it didn't work. Then the third thing she did was the online training in MSF, and that helped. So, you know, always 3 things. And the last one is a rule I broke, which is don't use images. In fact, I'm going to remove those images. They don't help. Storytelling, if you tell a story, it's better not to use slides to use the story. Just stand up and speak. Storytelling is an oral tradition. When you start putting slides, it's kind of like, is this a movie or is it a picture? So just tell your story and let people's imagination imagine the details. If you tell a story and you say something like, so I was in this village in Africa, a really small village, and then you show a photo, okay, my imagination goes, oh, I don't need to imagine this village because it is. But if I don't show any photo and I go, it was a really small village, there was only 1 cow in the village. You go, okay, that's a small village. Okay? So it's a small, 1 detail, and you can imagine the village. Next, the hook. The hook is for movies, for songwriting, for stories. The hook is what they engancha in the first 5 seconds. The first 5 seconds. It's a combination of the hero, the problem, the context, the time, all those things in 2 sentences at the beginning, and you catch the people. Carol's more or less was, I was on my 2nd mission, the chief of mission was on holiday, I got a phone call. At that point, people were, well, okay, now I'm hooked. And the trick is to do that quickly and efficiently and in pocas palabras. To grab the attention of your public for the story. So it's quite simple. I mean, the structure is quite simple. Let me show you a very famous screenplay, Guillaume, for a movie from a Japanese film director. Okay? It's very simple. The title of the movie is Samurai on a Toilet. This is the first part of the screenplay. The samurai. Yeah? Then, he has a problem. He has a problem because Japanese, their eyes are not like this normally. I have a problem. Okay? He has to go to the toilet. It's a big problem. He's got major problems in the toilet, so he has to fight. His eyes get even bigger because he's fighting. And then the resolution. He overcomes the problem. He reaches a state of peace. But he's different from the beginning. His eyes are different. The hero is never the same at the end of the story than they are at the beginning. The purpose isn't to return to the original state. The purpose is to grow and learn and become a new person. And that's Samurai Untitled. So if your story can follow this structure, very simple. Or your story gets to here, and then your presentation starts with the solution to the samurai's problem. And this can be at the end of your presentation. So remember, people remember stories, use them in your presentations. And I say this to everybody, not just because obviously in NGOs and in the world of MSF, I think you have great stories. Everyone has great stories because you travel so much and it's the adventures. But it's the same for scientists, it's the same for doctors, it's the same for academics. They all have stories to tell. And people go to presentations because they want to know the person behind the work. They want to see the personality, see the person, know them. So tell your stories in your presentations. And also it's a great way to catch people's attention and to explain the information that you have. Remember to give specific details and emotions. Specific details, the time, the place. It smelled bad, it was very hot. It's not crucial to the story, but it helps us imagine it. Make it surprising. It's not a, I went to MSF and there was no coffee. Oh my God. So I went to the shop and bought some. There's no surprise. And be clear about what the message is. Interpret it for your audience. Okay. That's storytelling. Has anyone told stories in their presentations before? Never?
I think so.
You think so?
Yeah, I don't remember actually, but I sometimes explain a specific situation that I lived and use that to.
And recently in MSF, have you seen any presentations where people have told a story? No? I think people are afraid to use stories because they think it will look like they're not being professional or it's not serious. But I would recommend that you go on the wiki, look at the videos on the wiki. About 80% of the presentations that people make in the course, they use a story, most of them to open a presentation, some people in the middle, and it's really effective. And it doesn't take away from professionalism. It doesn't mean that the presentation isn't serious.